Hello and welcome to this Q&A session. This time, not the question part, but the answering. This is also the first time you'll see me talking face to face on camera. Usually I don't mind showing my face on camera, but not really talking into it. Hopefully you can hear me. There's a little bit of wind around, as well as some traffic. That's a few of the things living here. The wind is not too bad, but traffic at the moment with this holiday season it's a little bit more. So let's get into some questions. So first question, my name, obviously the channel name, it's Wilco. My name is also Wilco. My nationality, I'm Dutch. May have already guessed that from my accent. So where in Portugal do I live? I live along the Silver Coast in the state of Leiria, close to Alcobaça. So, and then how much land do I have? Well, that's 10,600 square meters of land, of which about, well, the house is about 140 square meters, then the garage is 100 square meters, the old building is another 56 square meters, that's all urban. The rest of this area is all rustic area, so that means it's green. You're not allowed to build here and you won't get planning permission to build here. You are allowed to put a swimming pool, but not one in the ground, but one that's above ground with a terrace, that's all fine. You can put a container on here, a shed, as long as it's removable pretty easily. Like a shed you can set up, it's a building kit, you can remove that, no problem. A container, you get a truck, put the container down, the same truck can take the container away, it's fine. Not allowed to put anything concrete or permanent in the ground without any kind of permission. So that's about that. So the house papers, if you saw my earlier video, you would have noticed it took quite some time to get all the papers in order and all of that. The agricultural building, the warehouse, that has got a usage license, and that took 14 months to get. It had permission to build, but there was no usage license. The house is exempt from a usage license as it was built prior to 1951, but you do need a certificate stating that it is exempt from a usage license, which pretty much means the same thing. The old building, over that way, that one is from prior to 1937. As such, it does not need a certificate or anything to say that it needs a building or a usage license, I believe. But every municipality has different laws, so don't take my word for it. Then, do I work here? I sell online parts. That's mostly what I do. Then, learning the language, Portuguese. Portuguese is a tough language to learn. I did learn French at school in South Africa. That has helped a bit, but it remains quite a difficult language, as well as with pronunciation of words. The understanding part I'm quite good at, the speaking part enough to get around. So another question is, what do I miss from Holland or the Netherlands? Can't really comment too much on that, as I haven't lived there for a long time. So what do I miss? Maybe the food. So another question, what are the plans with the land around the house? Well, it's just a garden. I can't do anything with it. It's agricultural land. On that side I can plant apple trees, anything really like that I want. The house, as I said previously, this is the footprint. I can't extend it, I can't do anything with it unless laws might change in the future with different planning laws, but most of the time they don't really change. This area here is just a garden area. So why did I choose for this region? Well, the area over here is known as the Silver Coast. You get a lot more house for your money than, say, the Algarve. The weather is quite mild, the summers can be warm and the winters not so cold as, say, inland, where summers are hot and winters are a lot colder. So that is why. And the Algarve, in my opinion, is very expensive. You get a lot less house for your money. Oh, there's a bee coming to visit. So you don't get as much house for your money in the Algarve. The Algarve region also suffers from drought, lack of water at times, and now they have flooding as well, so it's either no water or flooding. This area here where I am, it rains, there's no lack of water, everything is nice and green. I have a borehole. I have not had any loss of water since I live here, so it's all going well. Right. So, had you spent much time in Portugal before you decided to live there? Well, since the year 2000, thereabouts, my grandparents live in Portugal, so I have been on holiday to Portugal in that time to visit them. But does that count for this decision? Probably not. I did live in Australia prior to Portugal, and I would have loved to stay there, but with the visa regulations changing, it made it a lot more difficult. So my parents already lived here in Portugal, and they decided then I would move to Portugal. So had I considered other countries? No, because my parents already lived here. But here's a bit of a spoiler: beginning of next year there will be an announcement that may surprise you. So the cost of living is like, can't comment really on that either, as my parents visit me twice a week and they bring food, so my food cost is only like 20 euros a week. That I buy things that they visit twice a week, so they bring food with them. Other things I do buy, but I guess around with 20 euros a week. For fuel I pay probably for 50 euros in a month. It's a petrol car, not exactly what you would call cheap, but basically all the shopping is 10 minutes from here. I go out once a week, so I get quite far, and that maybe I'll go visit Caldas da Rainha, which is a bigger town, and that's maybe once every 2 months. So as such, fuel costs for me are not too high. And then there's the post office run, but again, it's all within 10 minutes driving from here, return. So then, can you make a living from YouTube? Well, I can't, because you need 1,000 subscribers to monetize, and I'm not there yet. As of filming it was 734, so can't comment on that. But of course, once you have enough subscribers and enough viewers, you can make a living from YouTube. Do you plan on retiring in Portugal? Probably not. I'm only 28, retirement is probably 40 years away. Can't really say what's going to happen in 40 years time. Alright, then the most recent questions: was it hard for your family to decide where in Portugal to settle? Well, kind of answered that already. My parents did their research first. They went to the Algarve first. My father did find a nice farm to buy that needed renovation, but the cost was really high. And then they went to the Silver Coast area to have a look, and they found a house that was pretty much livable for a lot less. They also went to the Alentejo, more inland. They found nice houses, but a lot more isolated, as well as a lot more drier conditions. So in the end they decided to come to the Silver Coast. So not too hard, just a matter of researching and seeing what the best options are in terms of value for money. Cost of living is lower here as well, though I have to admit the Algarve does offer a lot more services, as there's a lot larger international group of people, a lot more foreigners living there. As such, you have more international shops, international doctors, medical facilities and all of that. But in this area here it is also not as many tourists, and as such the summer season is a lot calmer here than in the Algarve. And then well, sort of the average temperature here in summertime is about 30 degrees Celsius. Heat wave it goes up to 35. I've never really had it in the 40s in the winter. This year in January I had a cold wave. It went down to 4 degrees, but the Celsius it did freeze. Usually, like today, I'm just sitting outside on the 28th of December. Pretty happy, pretty calm here, and temperature about 16 degrees. In the sun, as I'm sitting now, it's nice and warm. All I've got is a t-shirt and this jacket on, and I'm sitting here in winter, not really too cold. Inside the house it does get colder, so that's one thing that I have to do. Turn on the heating in the evenings. I use the wood fireplace. Electricity is too expensive here, so don't use electric heating. But my electrical costs per month are between 50 to 60 euros. That's for me alone. The reason the costs are a bit higher is that I rely on electricity for my water supply. So I've got a ground pump that is quite heavy drawing. That one fills up maybe once every week, 1.5 weeks. And there's a pump outside that pumps in around the outside. That one's running then, as well as a pump in the house that's supplying the water. Then you've got your normal electric heater costs for the hot water system, and your other little bits and bobs that don't really take too much. So other costs are insurance once a year for the car, house insurance, there's land tax, house tax, car inspection costs, but really not too bad. I think that covers most of the questions. One thing you might want to consider before moving to Portugal is the humidity factor or the dampness factor. This area where I am in, it is quite humid and damp. Moving more inland you don't have as much, but it still gets quite damp. My grandparents used to live in the Alentejo and they still had problems with dampness. The Algarve is less humid, but as such it does get hotter in the summer. You can reach 40 degrees, and in the summer it's really busy with all the tourists. So things to think about. Most people have their holiday homes, apartments in the Algarve. They come in the summer to spend their time, and then it gets super busy. Best time to visit the Algarve, if you're only there to visit the natural sites, is probably December. Find a nice dry week, then it's really quiet on the streets. Only other thing, lots of tourist shops are closed, and a lot of restaurants, the touristy restaurants, are also closed. But if you're just there to visit the sites, like the beaches or the natural bridges, then it's all a good time to visit. So some of the other factors deciding where my house to buy this was I needed a house. I didn't want close by neighbors due to noise that I make with chainsaws and all of that, and all tools. And also I needed a house with a large storage space, so this was perfect, and all under a budget of 100,000 euros. So that was that, and then the renovation came. So it wasn't a ruin, at least, because we didn't want to ruin. That costs a lot more to set up and all of that. And this was not livable, but also not a ruin when we bought it. And after spending lots of effort, time and money, on everything. It's really nice to live here. But of course there are a few compromises, such as the road is close by. As such, you do hear some traffic, but really you hear it, but it's not really much of a bother to me. Sometimes it's busier than other days. Inside, where the bedrooms are, you don't hear the traffic when the windows are shut. It's all really calm inside. Yeah, you would hardly notice that the road is just down there. So, I hope I've answered all of the questions. I did print them out. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments below and I'll answer them in there. As I say, big announcement coming first week of January about some new future projects. Let's see what they bring. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Hope you found it interesting. And thanks for watching, and see you on the next video. And have a happy new year.